Hello future people, Jason the Bruce here with Getting Tabled, and today our Getting Tabled guide is focusing on Bushido. Bushido is a game made by Gct Studios, and Bushido's theme shouldn't really surprise anybody. After all, it's called Bushido. It's very much a fantasy version of Japanese mythology. So you've very much got ninjas, samurai, everything you would expect from those kinds of movies. You have some classical Japanese mythology mixed in there. We're not here to talk about the lore. We're not here to talk about how to play it specifically, though I will cover a couple of things. We're here to talk about how to get into the game, if this is your first time looking into it. So, first things first. GCT Studios is actually one of the companies that still have their own active forum. Now, when I say that it's an active forum, it's active. There's also an unofficial wiki that gets recognised. This has all of the rules for all of the characters. There's a lot of lore and stuff in there as well. The official Facebook group is extremely active. There is an official Discord channel that's also very active. Bushido is one of those wonderful games where, because it's designed to be balanced, you can just pick the faction that you like the look of. Couple of small notes: all of their models are metal. The newer miniatures are easier to build than the older miniatures because they're built with lugs and so forth in the connection points to make it easier for them to stay together. But that doesn't mean that their old models are bad. All of the models are quite gorgeous. If you've been following our podcast, whenever we are talking about their new miniatures, it becomes pretty obvious pretty quickly that they are gorgeous. As far as factions is concerned, every faction has its own starter set, which will usually comprise 5 models. There is a couple of exceptions there. The difference with the Ito clan is they also feature in the 2-player starter set. So, the 2-player starter set has 3 models on both sides. You'll immediately notice that means, so those models are the same models that are in the starter set, but there's 2 missing. You can buy those miniatures separately. Problem solved. Now, it's worth noting this is the GCT store itself. The faction, not the starter set, but the new player bundles and the themed bundles are exclusive to their website. You could not buy those through your local game store, but they are another way of getting in. Each of these are designed to be 100 rice, which is how their games are measured. So this would, in theory, be a full faction that you could play. Alternatively, you may want to just purchase some models. Every mini that you buy will come in a blister pack, similar to this. So you would have the parts in here, along with whatever base it comes with. It'll come with the card, and that's pretty much it. So when it comes to getting into the game initially, you could either buy the faction starter set, which gives you the 5 models and the cards that you need to play with them, or you can buy the 2-player starter set. If you are interested in either the Prefecture of Ryu or Clan Ito, the 2-player starter set is actually a very good place to start. If you're not interested in either of those 2 factions, you're probably better off to buy minis that you'll actually use. Given that every faction has a starter set, there's no reason not to just look purely at the one that you want. So, here we have the Cult of Uri. It could be Uri, I'm not 100% sure on how it's supposed to be said. Given that they are called the Cult of something, probably give you a pretty idea of what the rest of this is all going to look like. It's all very creepy and eerie and a little bit off-putting, but that's kind of the point. Here we have the Jung Pirates. Everything in the Jung Pirates is based around the sea. They have a few characters that are shark men or shark creatures, similar to how Clan Ito have some snake men type creatures. So again, very obvious theme with this one. Here we have the general feel of the Clan Minamoto. Here is your Prefecture of Ryu. Definitely not just a basic samurai feel here, like at all. No, it's very much, this is your samurai type characters, tend to have a bit stronger armor and so on and so forth. The Savage Wage is probably the first one that really feels different, because this faction is all Oni demon type things. Have a very strong Gremlins vibe to them, or a Goblin vibe to them. This, quite honestly, is the other faction that I'm very interested in trying. I'm really, really tempted to buy into these. You do get more than just 5 models in this, because this particular faction works very differently. It's about the Horde. This is the Shiho. Very much a wolf type vibe to this clan. They are all Japanese fantasy themes. This one is just very much tied around wolves and definitely feels more of your village, like the isolated areas. Silver Moon Syndicate, to me at least, kind of feels like it has a bit of a Japanese mafia type vibe, at least how it's presented in pop culture. Again, really, really love the look of this. Temple of Rokan definitely feels like your pop culture feeling monks. Kind of a mixture of Japanese and Chinese influence here. Well, again, this is how it feels to me, because there's definitely some Bushido feeling, but there's also some of your kung fu feeling type stuff in here as well. And the Tengu, I know this is going to surprise everybody, are Birdmen. So, that's all of the starter sets for every faction. But there's 2 factions I haven't started on. Well, 1 faction and 1 category. The Rohan are exactly what they don't actually belong to a faction. They are mercenaries that can work with specific factions. They don't actually have a starter set of their own. You could, in theory, just play with them, just like most games that have a faction like that. The Shadowwing clan is a ninja clan. And when I say ninja, it's exactly what you're thinking of when you think of a ninja, which is the mythological pop culture ninja that didn't actually exist in history. They started as Kage Kazizoku, which came from a game that wasn't Bushido. There was a board game called The Rise of the Kage, where the Kage ninjas were infiltrating a stronghold, basically. So there's no actual specific starter set for these guys, but there's a few bundles like what I was talking about earlier. Let's have a look at just a couple of them. So this is Axiom, Dudiko, Mikado. I'm probably going to say most of these wrong. Wamu, Karasu, Ghost. So you get a pretty strong vibe of ninjas with this particular clan. Like I said, this game is designed so that it's balanced. So much like a couple of other skirmish games that we've talked about already, you really can just pick the faction that you like the look of and that you think you're going to have fun painting, and then just play with them. Some factions are a little harder to play than others. Some are very straightforward. Some have some tactics that you kind of need to get used to. Like most games. It's just a matter of getting used to the tactics for your particular faction. There's one last thing that I want to cover before we come to the end of the video. There's two versions available of the rulebook. There's the smaller A5 version that I have here. There's also a proper full A4 size version that I don't own. This is the one that came with my 2-player starter set. The other thing that you will need for this game is a set of tokens. These are just cardboard tokens that work with the game. The other thing we need to talk about is dice, because I know that we all have dice, but something specific to Bushido is you need to have 2 different sets of dice, and they need to be distinctly different. The reason you need 2 different dice sets is because you have one dice set that is specifically for your attacks and one dice set that's specifically for your defense. Part of the combat mechanics in this is you blindly pick whether you're attacking or defending as part of the combat. So if I was attacking you and hypothetically I had 5 dice for whatever reason, I could pick 1 dice to attack, 4 to defend. I could go all for attack and any combination of them all. And you could do the same as part of this same thing because it's a duel. But because it's the blind selection of the dice, they need to be very clearly different dice. So yeah, when it comes to Bushido, Bushido is a very good tactical game. It's very unique, especially with the blind dice mechanic. I really, really enjoy that. It does feel very much like a duel. Thank you very much for checking out this video. If you're enjoying the content of this channel, please like and subscribe. If you're in a position to do so, please check out patreon.com/gettingtabled. You receive early access to at least 80% of all videos that we put out, and you get access to the video edition of all of our podcasts the day that they're uploaded. If you'd like to check us out on social media, facebook.com/gettingtabled is the most active. We also have a Discord server. You can email our team at gettingtabled@gmail.com. If you're on either Twitter or Instagram, you can find us at gettingtabled. And until next time, play more.